If you're a healer, coach, or counselor and you hate selling, you have landed exactly where you need to be. In this episode, we're going to talk about how sales isn't sleazy. It's actually a service to your dream clients. And I'm going to help you get really comfortable with sales so that you can make as much income as you do impact and eventually achieve personal and financial freedom so that you can do the work that you were born to do. Welcome to the Healers Podcast, the #1 destination for healers, coaches, and counselors who are ready to take their businesses to the next level. What's up, friends? It's Lisa Roulette, founder of the Healers Podcast, the Make More Money system for healers, coaches, and counselors, and your Ascension Guide. In this episode, as you know, we're talking about selling. And I know how uncomfortable that is for my healing friends, for my spiritual business friends, because like you, I feared sales for so many years. But truth be told, if we're not selling, we're not creating sustainable businesses. And if we're not creating sustainable businesses, it's very difficult to have the level of impact that we're really destined to have on the world at this time. So in this video, we're going to talk about a few things. First, why healers and spiritual business owners don't like selling. The second, how to get more comfortable with selling. And third, some techniques to help you sell better. So let's start with why we hate selling so much. Well, there's two reasons really. The first is that most of us think that selling goes against our spiritual values. And that's really sort of a misconception, right? Because if our values really are to be in service to the world, we need to be supported. And if we don't sell, we can't sustain the business. Now, in that way of thinking that we are maybe too spiritual to be part of a third dimensional monetary system, there really is actually an imbalance of the masculine and the feminine. And if you follow me on any of my other social media channels, you've heard me talk about this a lot. A lot of healers and spiritual business owners tend to reside a lot in the feminine. And that's normal because we incarnated to bring that feminine energy back to the world, back to the earth. But at the same time, as you know, in order to create a thriving child, which is your business, you do really need a balance of the masculine and the feminine. When there's balance of masculine and feminine, they come into sacred union and they produce the thriving child. So part of the spiritual aspect of a business is that sacred union. And while the divine feminine is constantly creating, constantly birthing, right? The masculine is the one that essentially brings things back home, right? So you give out your feminine energy in all of the creative work that you do and all of the healing work that you do. You have to bring something back. And the masculine is what brings it home. Think about like in ancient times or in like more prehistoric times, the male went out and brought the sustenance home. Well, that sustenance home is really important because the feminine couldn't survive without it. It needed what the masculine brought home. And in our case, the masculine brings home the money, right? And so we want to make sure that we can receive back. The feminine is designed to receive. It's not just designed to birth. It is designed to receive. So part of our spiritual values need to be balancing the masculine and the feminine so that they are in sacred union and they can produce the thriving child. So if you have these sort of notions of materialism or money being not part of your spiritual values, I would ask you to reconsider and really sort of meditate on the masculine and the feminine in your business, knowing that if you don't heal that distorted view of money, then your business isn't going to be sustained. And then you're not going to be able to make the impact that you truly are destined to make at this time. Now, the other reason that we tend to fear the whole money piece of it is money trauma, which literally the vast majority of people on this planet suffer from money trauma, which of course can happen from our upbringing and our cellular memory from our ancestral line, but also from many other things, including the way the third dimensional paradigm is structured. Now, if you haven't seen my video on money trauma, I'll link it in the description of the video below. That video was designed specifically more for my Ascension Guide audience, but I think it could be very helpful for any of my audience that are healers and spiritual business owners If you do think that you struggle with money trauma, then that video is going to be a very good video for you to watch. So once you start healing money trauma and the idea that money doesn't necessarily align with your spiritual values, the next thing you want to do is start looking at sales as a service. The truth is, most of your clients have a problem and they're looking for that problem to be solved. If you have a solution to their problem, then it is a service for you to sell it to them. Because at the end of the day, if you don't sell it to them, someone else is going to try to sell them a solution. And for all we know, that solution may not be nearly as good as yours. So if you're truly doing your authentic work and you know that what you're selling can help or transform someone's life or even simply solve a problem, then it is a service to sell, okay? Now, the other reason that sales are a service is because people really don't experience transformations or deep-seated results unless they're financially invested in something. You can go Google it. I mean, there have been economic studies on how people do not experience lasting results or deep transformations unless they are financially invested. I know for myself, in my early years of having my healing practice, when I would give my services away for free or charge very little money for them because I would feel bad if someone couldn't afford it, those people were inspired. They had maybe a couple of days where they were uplifted, but at the end of the day, they did not really have any profound shifts and their problems really weren't solved. But the people that I have charged the most money to have had significant transformations because they were invested in their journey. So it's really important to start looking at sales as a service, both because you can solve a problem with your authentic work, and you also know that unless your client is invested in their own journey and the results, they're probably not going to experience the transformation that you've designed for them. Now, if you're having trouble designing a transformation, comment below, because you really are empowered with so many unique gifts, especially if you've lasted this long in the video and you identify as a healer or a spiritual business owner. Just comment below, say I'm struggling. Let me know, because that is what I'm here to help you with. We want to create transformations for our dream clients so that we can make even bigger impact on their lives and uplift them through their transformational paths. And I know you can do it. And I know you can charge a lot of money for it because I bet you're really, really, really good at it. Now, once you get really comfortable with the fact that sales are a service, you have to get comfortable with the actual selling process. Now, there's two ways to sell, obviously. There's one way to sell is on landing pages or web pages, right? And then there is live calls. You're selling on landing pages basically when you have a product or service that is less than, say, $3,000. In the beginning, when you're selling things over $1,000, I would recommend taking sales calls at first so that you can get really comfortable with your dream client. If you're selling on a sales page, the way to get comfortable with selling is through your copy. You can go to my blog that I'll link in the description of below on how to develop a high converting sales page. But assuming that most of you are here to sell higher ticket items like $1,000 plus, and you do need to start that process by taking sales calls, then the most important thing that you can do is think of selling as sorting. This is something one of my mentors taught me, and it changed my life. If you go into a sales call thinking you're selling, you're going to put that energy of pressure onto your client. And the truth is, you're not selling. You're not selling until you make the sale. So you go into a sales call thinking, I'm just here to sort. Because for all you know, that client could be a nightmare. I've had many leads take discovery calls with me that seemed like the perfect fit on paper, but when I got on the call with them, they couldn't have paid me enough money to work with me because I knew that they were going to be a real problem for me and that they weren't going to experience the transformations that I designed for them. So you have to just think of it as sorting, not selling. If you have a product or service that is around $1,000 or more, or if you're struggling to charge more money for your products and services, you can also go to my blog and read the one on how to charge what you're worth as a healer, because I think that'll help you a lot with mindset. It'll show you how to actually increase your value so that you can feel a lot more comfortable with selling as a service. So 2 blog posts listed in the description of the video below. If you read those blog posts and come back here and comment, if you want me to make a video on those, I certainly will. And if you guys want a meditation on the getting in the mindset of sorting and not selling prior to sales calls so that your vibe is just totally neutral and allowing the observation of the potential client, I'll make one for you. All you have to do is comment below. That's a wrap for this episode, my friends. If you loved it, please consider subscribing, like, comment, and share because it helps the podcast and the channel grow. And remember, if you are a healer, a coach, or a counselor, and you're really doing the work that you're probably doing, you deserve to be abundant and make a lot more money.